let's talk about Premier League then, Gab. There's quite a lot to talk about when it comes to this list, because when it comes to the top 10, obviously we've just been talking about Kobbie Mainoo there, and he is developing in the Premier League. But when it comes to the top 10 from Tar, there's only Rasmus Højlund, one Premier League player in there. What does it tell us about the development of the league for young players to develop in?
Well, I mean, I think obviously there's a sample size issue that there inevitably will be, and there's a tour issue as well about who you put in there. And there would have been 3 if Doku and Palmer had made it in there. I think you could make a strong case for Garnacho as well. I think overall, though, in terms of volume, I don't think it's that surprising that there are so many Premier League players. And the reason is, Mark touched upon it before. Premier League clubs spend a ton of money on their academies. And if there's one thing that we know, in the eternal nature versus nurture debate, like, do the academies produce great players because they have wonderful coaching and you can put any kid in there at 8 and he'll come out as like a fully fledged first teamer? Or are they good because they have the money and they attract talented youngsters? I definitely lean towards the second. And Premier League clubs have a lot of money, and also they're also very open. If you look around Premier League academies, you're not going to just find a bunch of English guys there. You're going to find a lot of the best coaches from all over the world and a lot of the best scouts from all over the world. And I don't think that's the case anywhere near as much in other European countries. So the combination of being open to attract the best know-how, the combination of having some of the best facilities, the fact that at youth level, a lot of these guys play against each other, which again helps you improve even further. All these things come together, and it's not surprising that there are so many players that are, I think, that are produced by Premier League academies, or at least come through Premier League academies, or signed. Looking at this list now, people like Gravenberch, like Gusto, like Papsar. These guys didn't come, like Udoji. These guys didn't come through academies, but they arrive very young because of the environment and because there's pathways into the first team.
Yeah, because as you guys can see there, even though it is only one in the top 10, in terms of the list, it is the most represented league in the list. And obviously it's Tar's list, but 15 of those players, the names you can see are in it. But Mark, Gab just touched there on some of the names. Which Premier League side do you think has the best under-21 talent? Because obviously we heard him mention Gravenberch from Liverpool there. You've got Manchester United, who've just been talking about Mainoo. You've also got Garnacho, who's in the top 10. You've got Højlund. Højlund's in the top 10. Garnacho's in the list here for young players. Chelsea with Gusto, Palmer and Colwill. Who for you has the best under-21 talent?
I mean, that is a pretty incredible list, and it's really hard for the 3 on that list for each club. They're all great young players, and I think Malo Gusto has been outstanding at Chelsea this year, and he's gone under the radar because of all the problems they've got. But he looks a real find at fullback. But I'm going to say Liverpool because of the players that aren't on that list. I think I saw Jarrell Quansah at the weekend, and I've been really impressed by his ability in recent weeks. He's 21, so he just about would get in the list. Conor Bradley we've seen recently, who's he's given Liverpool's next manager, whoever it is, the opportunity to say to Trent Alexander-Arnold, look, you can move into midfield because we've got this great young right back coming through who could be our right back for the next 10 years. So Harvey Elliott, again, a really good, busy little player who I think has been unlucky not to get close to the England squad recently. So I would say Liverpool because of the depth of talent they've got. And obviously recently it got them through that real kind of injury crisis where Jurgen Klopp was having to put the kids in. They won the Carabao Cup against Chelsea with, I think, the youngest cup final winning team ever. So Liverpool for me have got a real batch of young talent coming through, and it's kind of up to the new manager, whoever it is, to make sure that they get the most out of that. But on that list shows you that each of the clubs have got some great talent, and obviously the Man United 3, we saw that great picture recently where Garnacho, Højlund and Kobbie Mainoo sat on the advertising board. It went around the world because that kind of showed what United have got coming through. But the difference between United and Liverpool is that Liverpool have got the experience around them and the proven quality that United haven't got. So their young players at Anfield have got more likelihood to succeed because they're playing in a better team. I think the young players at United have got pressure on their shoulders to deliver when the more experienced players aren't doing. So I'd say Liverpool right now are the ones that have got the best batch.
I think that's fair, Gab.
Yeah, I think that probably makes sense. You could also look at it the other way and say because Liverpool are ahead of United and because Liverpool have more at stake right now, certainly in the short term in terms of winning trophies, that it's maybe going to be easier to get into the United team than it is to get into a fully fit Liverpool team. One other thing that I noticed overall there aren't that many defenders on the list, but I also wanted to focus on two guys here, Gravenberch and Colwill, who, neither one has had a great season. Colwill's had his injuries as well. And yet they were on the list probably, when Tor talked about performance, probably based on what we'd seen in years before. I think if Gravenberch and Colwill had repeated this year, the seasons that they had last year, they would have been very close to the top 10. So I know one point that Tor often likes to make is that, after number 10, there's very, very little separating, number 11 from number 39, in his view. So I don't think that we should look at this and fret over whether Mainu's 31 or 35 or 28 or whatever, but that this is just a group of players who have really bright futures.